Hi, my name's Connor Matthews, and as we get to the latter half of the Seed and Spark for Touch Time Machine, I wanted to center some other voices other than mine because I have been talking a lot. And the first person I would love to talk about is an incredibly skilled DP, one of the most innovative filmmakers I know. He has made sci-fi highways, spaceships, he's made leprechauns, and I would love to introduce the wonderful, the amazing Austin Roghelia.
How's it going? It's an honor to be a part of your project for sure. I know there's probably a lot of people out there jumping to be like, man, work with you, and you came to me, so I'm in heaven here.
I am so fortunate to be working with you. Like, this is definitely like a dream. Ever since we met on Happy Haley Days, and that was like so wonderful. How's your day been going?
It's been going pretty good.
Okay.
You've been here for most of it.
That's right. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's Happy Haley Days. Wow, it's was so awesome. And you were a latecomer to that project, so we had already gone through pre-production, and there was actually, I think somebody else was supposed to be in your shoes, and you came in late, and it was like such a blessing because you came in, and I couldn't imagine a film with anybody else in Mike's shoes other than yours in that role. So I think everyone was impressed, and at the end of it all, you came to me and you asked me for advice or criticism or something. You said, hey, give me,
Yeah.
And the only thing I say is like, no one's gonna believe you're really this nice, like. You gotta tone it back a bit. You remember that?
I do remember.
Yeah.
I totally, because I remember I was going and seeing everything that you were creating, like just all the different shots, like even the first scene of Happy Haley Days, just seeing how you managed to get so much, tell the story in just like so few like shots in addition to, like, you were incredibly intentional, and I was like, I need to learn a lot from this person, and I appreciate, and you've taught me so much, so thank you.
Appreciate it. It comes down, it's a different mentality, like leaving behind like a videographer type standpoint where you're there to film what's happening versus doing cinematography or doing filmmaking where everything is intentional, everything is created, and everything is done for a reason. So everything in Happy Haley Days was storyboarded for the most part. So we knew like, hey, this is what the audience needs to know. How can we tell that, with an economy of shots? So it's not like coverage every which way. We didn't shoot a million pieces of coverage and then decide how to put it together. We kind of knew like, okay, we need these tights, we need these wides, this is the coverage we need, this is the master we need. And that's how I kind of approach all of it, to be honest with you.
That's cool. I realized, and I forgot to ask this earlier, what was the thing that got you into cinematography?
I've always been interested. I did darkroom photography in high school. I graduated high school in 2005, so we were the last class to use the darkroom because after that they took it, they gutted it, and they put IMAX in there with Photoshop on it and started teaching digital photography. So I started in the darkroom. I still have a darkroom at the house today, so I still do film stuff. And I just always thought it was cool. We were messing around with the camera one time in photography class, and my friend Sam he just caught like this footage of like this like bag blowing in the wind, and he put like sad classical music on it, and I was like, whoa, like that. It was like a stupid shot of a piece of garbage floating in the wind. You put like I was like, wow, it just changed something. I was like, oh, you can create like things from nothing basically. Like it was cool. So like I still use a lot of music in my stuff too. Like I like to see how different music works and changes a scene or changes an image and all that kind of stuff. So it's an audio visual medium, right? We're not working in the silent era days. So
No,
but that's what. Yeah, I mean, lots of little experiences like that, adding up to wanting to do this full time.
That's so cool. Well, and also on that, are there any filmmakers that really inspire you? I know that we've talked about a couple of them. But I'd love to hear.
All of them. Anyone who's made a film, it doesn't matter because it's so difficult to do. For me, like I always loved James Cameron. Like I love like the Terminator. I love the Abyss. Even all the way up through Titanic is like one of my favorites. So, but Steven Spielberg is I'm a pretty easy to please guy. Like I'm not like going and looking for the super artistic stuff to make myself sound highbrow or anything like that. I like the classics. But some stuff like that, like Amadeus, 1985, is one of my favorite films, directed by Milos Forman. So yeah, I mean, there's so many. Like Joe Dante, actually, my favorite film, he holds the title. So I have a really weird favorite movie. It's called Inner Space, but that was directed by Joe Dante, same director as Gremlins, and Explorers, and all that. So, but it's not just any one thing, right?
Yeah.
And I would stay up super late and find like weird movies on like Turner Classic Movies or something like 3, 4 in the morning. I'm supposed to be asleep. My parents are asleep. Like one time I caught like Logan's Run, and I had no idea, and they didn't say the name of the movie, so I went to school and told everybody. I was like, hey, it was like this weird film. They had like crystals in their hands and all this like weird sci-fi thing. Nobody knew what I was talking about for years. I didn't know what that film was called until like 20 years later. I'm like, oh, that's what that was.
This is what it is. That's cool.
It seemed like a magic thing because I was like it was almost like I was in my own like little church, right? In a dark room, nobody else is there.
Yeah.
There's no internet in these days. I'm by myself, and I discovered this little thing. I feel like I'm the only person on the whole planet that knew about it. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's weird. It's a magical thing.
That's amazing. That's so cool. And I love what you were also saying. It's where it's like it's not necessarily just a single filmmaker. It is like an amalgamation of different things. Like taking like seeing something what someone else does and like being like, okay, this is amazing. How can I add that to what I do? I was gonna also ask. I know you've also given me some great like books to read. Do you have any things that you're like, this is a book that you should absolutely check out in terms of filmmaking and everything?
I think, yeah, I do. And everyone in this room that's over here knows about it. You read it. It's called Into the Woods.
So good.
It's about 5-act story structure. But it goes deep into like, why. It's not so much pushing that you should put your films into a structure. Mm-hmm. It's more explaining like why do films tend to fall into these structures even when you're not intending it. And once you understand that, it can make it a little bit easier. And then, like, it goes into subtext pretty deep. Like, characters don't just say in movies exactly what they feel. Mm-hmm. And people in the world, they don't, when I'm at 7-Eleven and somebody asks how I'm doing, I don't say terrible. I say I'm doing good even though I'm not, right? So your characters have to have, they don't always just say exactly what they're feeling. So if you can put a little bit of a veil between what they're showing and what they're feeling and create their inner life and their outer life, then you're really building a character, I think, versus just I need this character to pull this lever and save that girl over there. Like, okay, that's what they're doing.
Yes.
Right? There's a difference between what they're doing and what they're feeling and why they're doing it, and maybe even the reasons they say they're doing it may be different than the reasons they're actually doing it. They may be say it's the right thing to do, but maybe they want to be the hero. Who knows?
That's a good point. Like, it actually is a self-centered thing. And no, I remember I have like so many notes on that thing, but maybe it is like a self-centered thing. Like,
it could be, or it just depends on the character. It may, they may come out and say what they're feeling. They may not. But I think if there's any books, I mean, there's a million books on, you could get a textbook on cinematography. You could get the 5 C's of cinematography and learn like, okay, that's a medium shot, that's a close-up, that's a cowboy shot, and then how it cuts, and you could read that, and you probably should if you don't already know those things. But you really, the best thing you can do is just analyze scenes. In fact, we did that with Happy Haley. So Ava and I was like, okay, we have somebody coming to the door. They're going to come, they're going to be introduced at the front door, then they're going to go into the house. It's like, well, okay, what other movies does that happen in? There's a lot. So we watched a scene from Father of the Bride, where he comes to the front door, and it's like, okay, how'd they handle that coverage? And we watch Marty McFly in Back to the Future coming to the Lorraine's house and getting let in the front door. So like, okay, let's see how are they handling this? Because the blocking, and then you can maybe get some ideas from it or steal it whole cloth if you want. Like, okay, I see. We got to go over the shoulder and we got to do this. But there's a lot of ways to learn, and there's a lot of different ways to handle stuff. And you say, are we gonna let this live in a wide? Are we gonna go into coverage? All that kind of stuff. And the earlier you can figure that out, the better. And I think that's a lot to do with cinematography is seeing into the future, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why we're going to be location scouting, so I can say, okay, I know what lights and fixtures I'm going to need because these are the angles I'm going to shoot. And I can hand that to the gaffer and say, okay, we're going to have, a 1200 out this window. We're going to have neg on this side. The camera's going to be here. If we wait until we're there to figure that out, well, it's going to take way longer, right? So seeing into the future is really big. And the more different ideas of blocking you have, how you know if you're going to live in the tight versus a wide. If you know that early in the script, then you can plan for it, and you can be in position when the actors are ready and they're the last light has been turned on and all that. Otherwise, if you're finding it right then and there, there's some magic can happen there. But everyone's going to be really annoyed. Like waiting for you to figure it out.
Like, which one seems the best? And then switching between different coverages and being like, wait a minute. Yeah.
Well, and this is the thing, is in the newer age of cinematography, we're using memory cards and hard drives. And you can really let the cameras roll all day. You can shoot multiple cameras. Yeah. So you imagine if you're shooting on 35 millimeter film, it's got 11 minutes of film in the magazines. That's it. And when you turn it, when it's exposed, you can't erase over it. It's film. It's exposed to light. So once you know there's 11 minutes of footage in that thing, and they call action, they roll the camera, you can hear the money going through that camera, right?
Oh, that's a terrifying thought.
Right. So imagine all those guys back in the day, all those actors. Like you imagine, like, you know, Tom Hanks filming on Forrest Gump or something like that, and it's they roll that camera. That's money going through, and it's not just the money of how much that film costs. Everybody standing around on set, that's also still got to go processed at the lab. You don't see it till the next day when you get the dailies back. So back then they had to be intentional. That's why I say all that. They had to know what they're shooting before they they didn't start putting the film through the camera and then figure it out. There's this money in the toilet. They knew. They figured it out, okay? And they backed it up with, you know, all the craft that they have. Like, they understand blocking and they understand coverage and all that stuff. But they still have to figure that out ahead of time, no matter how much they know. Because, like I said, it's money. Now, with digital cameras, some people, they are a little lazy with that. They're like, we're just going to shoot it from every angle, and the editor's going to be pulling his hair out, but it'll work out. Don't worry about it. I think there's a balance. We can shoot a little bit more. If we want to get creative, go off the storyboards. We go off boards. But we get what we know we need, and then if we want to add, we can add. But we're not going in without a plan. We're just not going to do that.
That makes sense, yeah. Because if you go with the plan, then that gives you the space where it's like, okay, now I know I have time where I can improvise a little bit. Now I know exactly, okay, this is the exact thing that I need. Now we can keep going forward. Where I feel like that's also something that's so important, like the intentionality about it. And one thing I know, storyboards can definitely be a very important thing. Like, what is your process with approaching like storyboards and shot listing and that type of thing?
So I like to start with storyboards over shot lists, because you can use the storyboard to basically just copy it as your shot list. But typically, what I start with when I'm planning is a shot is establish a geography where these people at in space and time in relation to themselves or any other important things that they may interact with. You know, if there's a control panel or a bomb that's got to be defused, we got to know where that is at. Or it's, you know, just two people talking, right? So, for instance, like where we are now, a wide shot that shows both of us, then we can go in over the shoulders. That's the simplest form. They just shot reverse shot. You got a master, boom, boom. If we're moving around a space, you know, then you may have to think harder about, you know, what the master shows and keeps that geography. So that way when people watch something, they're not like, wait, where are they?
Hold on a second.
Or eye lines get mixed up and all that stuff. You know, like right now, anybody that's watching this, when they see me on camera, they're going to see me on one side looking one way, and then you're going to be the opposite side looking the other way. So when it cuts back and forth, it looks like we're having a conversation. If we, you know, if this camera over here were on the other side, then we'd both be looking the same way, and the cut would be weird. It wouldn't look like we were talking. So that's like basic, day one type of stuff.
Very important to get.
And then to actually create the storyboards, I've done everything from hand-drawn storyboards all the way from stick figures to highly shaded drawings that I've done that even kind of gave lighting direction. But more recently, I use the Unreal Engine, where I can put metahumans, and you can even put the camera in there and tell it what lens you're shooting on, and then you can actually just take the picture, print it out, and then you have your storyboard. So that gives you a lot of freedom. You can even lay dolly track in Unreal Engine if it's a dolly shot.
Oh, that's wonderful. And just you can...
and the lights too. Like, put a light out that window. You can change the position of the sun and all that stuff. And I've done a bunch of that with Ava, and you and I are about to be jumping into that. So
I'm so excited.
But then with Harvey's film, Side Effects, we sat on a park bench with a pad of paper, and we did a few high detail drawings, and then we did a bunch of stick figure stuff.
Lovely.
No,
hey,
but it didn't. But we had a plan. Was the thing. We knew the shots, so we could go through. And then as we did that, our first AD was there, and she was writing down all the shots that we were storyboarding. And labeling them, you know, like master, you know, Devin reverse, Stevie reverse shot, whatever they were, writing them down, and then putting them to an order that made it make sense for the filming schedule. And we talked a little bit about your film Crosscuts, the film we're in pre-production for you, Crosscuts a lot. But it may go from one scene to another scene and back. So we have to know when we storyboard, like, okay, everything that's here has got to be shot at once, even though if it doesn't appear all in the film right here.
You gotta...
That's right.
Because if we're going all over, then we're going to be taking forever, for sure.
Forever, and it's going to be difficult for the actors to understand the full scene, right? It's going to be very disjointed. So we want the you know, to create those moments of like confusion, or not confusion, but mystery. I'll use
Yeah.
For the audience, but the actors should know what they're doing.
Actors should know, and the crew members should know
Well, they need to know so they can put the light in the right place, right? So,
Very important. Yeah.
So yeah, totally. But yeah, no. It's just like with all these different films I've done. There's always been a challenge here or there, and we've always figured it out. And not to say somebody couldn't improvise a really great shot, because you can, and I've done that as well. So.
But I feel like going in with a plan allows you the space where you can improvise a great shot and that type of thing. Is that kind of it?
Yeah, I mean, it just depends. If everybody's standing around getting paid $500 a day, and you're going to take 30 minutes to figure something out, like how much money is that, right? You got to think about that.
That makes sense.
So, and that's everybody wants to, get some sleep, right?
Right. Very, very important.
I mean, I don't. I'll go all night long, but I'm never the one that's that way. But you in order to be effective and be creative, like people have to, there's balance there. So. But you got to look at the money that's being spent too,
and make sure to be conscious of that. Well, I know also speaking of shots, I know one of the more I remember when you first showed me this one, I was blown away by it. Was on Thaddeus Muckspout, and I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that because it involves something called forced perspective.
Yeah, we did a forced perspective shot on that, and I had to convince the director that it would work, ahead of time. Like, hey, we can do this. And he was ready to throw it out. He's like, if we're going to try it on day one, if it doesn't work, we're not doing it. And the leprechaun's just going to be normal human height. So
Fair.
I knew I couldn't let that happen. So
yeah.
But we had to put the actor on a dolly, and we had to put the camera on a dolly. We had to move them in sync because it's easier to do forced perspective if the camera doesn't move. But in this case, we wanted it to move around. I actually have the shot here. We can play a little bit of it here. And as you see, as it comes around, he looks small, but you see if the camera's moving, so let's get back to it. That relationship between them. When they're here, for instance, she's looking at somebody, he's not there. He's actually 15 feet away in the background. They're up close to the camera and he's far away, but the eye lines, it all had to match up. And that was a tricky shot. And I do, I have a video on my YouTube channel that explains exactly how I did it with diagrams of where the camera and lights and all that had to be. And then you mentioned a little bit about doing sci-fi highways and stuff. This is all miniatures. This isn't miniature shot actually. This is a for real shot. This is full size. But we did a film that was all. Here we go. Actually, I found it right here. So she's driving this. This car is only about 6 inches big.
And I realized, I know a lot of people in terms of that use green screens. I know you use something a little bit different in terms behind that.
Well, for this is a model. So this whole city was just built.
Models.
So there's no keying or anything here. Now, when she's in the car, and I don't know if I have any to show, but I actually like to do the rear projection, which works good for night scenes. So when you see out the windows of the car out there, that's all rear projection. I don't know if I have any more in here. Here's a little bit of it here. So when he's driving this car, this stuff out the windows out here, that's just rear projection. So the cool thing about that versus green screen is if you're using green screen while you're filming, on camera you're just seeing green, right? So when you're trying to get the lighting to match what's outside, it's harder to do because you have to imagine what is going to be placed there in post-production. With rear projection, it's just going. So I can look at the monitor and see what the final result is going to be, so I can adjust the lighting and all that stuff to match. And you see, the car he's in is not moving; it's just being bounced around in the driveway with a screen behind it.
Perfect.
So you see the shadows and stuff that go across his face. That's just somebody off screen, moving cardboard in front of a light or something. So when you see his face here, like that, you see how the shadows go through and all that. That's
just a stationary shot with someone moving.
Yeah, but we've done a lot of cool things. There's this is for a spaceship set for sci-fi. So this is actually in my garage. This is not any computer generated stuff. That's an actual set. This is part of that too. And
that's cool. And that steam effect is.
Yeah, this was actually all a set that was built. Those doors actually actuated and all that stuff.
And where'd you build the set again?
That was actually in my living room.
Amazing.
Yeah, I built that, and this is part of that set too. We actually lit part of it on fire at one point.
Oh my gosh.
We had safety people. It was all under control. But yeah, a lot of cool things I've worked on. This was a cool shot we did in a film. We built a fake portion of a car. So this isn't actually through the hood of a car. We got some plywood and we just like these are just like car parts from the junkyard, and we got a hood from a junkyard, and we just put it over the camera, so they're actually just right out in the open.
Just right there.
Yeah, but that's why we're able to get still get nice lighting on them, and the only other way to maybe do this would be to actually pull an engine out of a car to get the camera in there, or to use like a GoPro, something small, but it wouldn't be of high quality like this is.
No, but that is amazing because
this is cool. This is part of that set too, where we did we had a real working like robot arm that would come down and
amazing and pick things up.
Yeah, that was a film I directed called Filter 14.
I was about to say, and it just finished up its festival run, right?
There's still actually a few festivals out for that are still have not either. They haven't rejected or accepted yet.
Heck yeah.
So we're just awaiting our rejections.
That's perfect.
Reject us already.
Reject us. Well, and on that, I realized, are there any other projects or any place where people can find you that are watching this?
I've been very selective, actually. So I've gotten, not that I don't want to work with everybody or help everybody out, but I'm really only trying to pick films and work with people that have a goal. So if their goal is, and nothing wrong with it, they want to make a movie as a hobby, or they just, whatever they want to do, that's fine. But I'm looking for people such as yourself, like Ava Eckstein-Schumann.
Amazing. Yeah.
People that are they want to do this as a career. They want to aim for the bigger festivals. They want to go to the next level. So I'm trying to get better all the time. I'm not the king of this stuff yet. I'm having a lot of fun and I like what I'm doing, but I still got a lot to learn myself. So by choosing the right projects, right? It's always important that you choose the right projects. So like obviously you'll never have to worry about if there's a DP willing to shoot your film, because I'm going to be here, because I know you're doing it for the right reasons. You're not it's not for the money. You're in this to grow your art form and get to the next level, and just really express yourself in a way that I think is important, and that you're also committed to quality. Like, you don't want to put something out that's terrible. You want to make sure, and you want to work with the right people. You're doing it right, like building the right team. So that's what I'm looking for, people that are doing that. So to answer your question, I'm obviously shooting your film.
So grateful for that.
Very excited. I'm shooting another film with Ava's brother, actually. David has a film. So like, yeah. So the Extra Productions folks are like committed to doing really great things. Yeah. So no matter what they're doing, I'm going to be there 100%, because, like I said, they're doing it for the right reasons. It's not for the money, but it's also not for shits and gigs, right? It's meaningful, right?
It's because they want to make something that changes.
Right, and not to say that doing it for the money is wrong or anything like that. We all got to get paid, or that doing it as a hobby or just for whatever's is okay. That's great. Yeah. But you really should find people that have goals that are aligned with yours, I think. And that's fine. That's just the way the world works. So, not all people they can reach out to me, and if they're in the space that like, hey, I'm looking to go to the next level, call me. Those are the people I'm looking for.
Yeah.
If they're looking for a big case of money, I don't really know how to help them with that. So
that's fair. That's so valid.
Like, hopefully it comes.
Hopefully it does, but it's like that's not my wheelhouse.
No, yeah. I mean, I'm making a living doing this right now, enough to be okay. Yeah. I'm not getting rich off this stuff, but
to be more selective and choose the people that you would like to work with.
Well, yeah, and this time is like, we only have so much time in a day. So like, I feel like I'd be letting them down, because pre-production, especially as a DP, is huge. Yeah. It's like we talked about before, we got to go into the plan. So if we can't do that, if I have to just show up, it's not just a day of shooting. Like, there's a whole lot more to it than that. And I feel like if I took too much on, I'd probably be letting some people down. Like, I wouldn't be able to give them the full attention their project deserves. And I get it. Not everybody has, a whole lot of money, like, to do this stuff. So it's like, well, am I going to spend 20 or 30 days, on a project? Yeah. And maybe it's only 3 or 4 days of shooting, but it's like a lot more to that. And, the minimum I can really do it for is just to cover the cost of the equipment and all. It's like $500 a day, and that's like not making any. That's still me doing it for free, pretty much. Yeah. But that's the minimum. Well, that's to get it done, right? You know, and obviously that only goes for, people that are working on their passion projects. If if a Mercedes comes to me for a commercial, it's going to be much more expensive. So
It's gonna be
they don't need my help. They should be helping me. So
exactly. They need to be,
when it's when it's indie film, the rates are I think most of the people lower their rates down quite a bit to be a part of independent film productions. But then when they go, if they're working on commercial work, they're doing those other things.
that's the thing that
Well, they can't discount that stuff because otherwise then they're not going to eat at all. They're going to be living on the streets.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's not good. Again, Mercedes is coming by. Like that would be.
Yeah, no, that'd be a great client, and any people when you're working for those people, and they're happy to pay anyway, so it's fine.
And I was about to say, I really is pointing it out in terms of like more than just a couple days. Filter 14, all of those sets, I know that you made all of the claw arm you made as well. So much work I know you put into this, into making sure that your craft is as good as possible, and that is always something I super admire and is super impressive. So that is
my goal at the end of it is for you to be like, hey, like Austin's the best DP to work with, right? So
Yes.
it's about bringing your vision to life, and we've talked about the look and everything we're gonna do. But I didn't start out. When I went to school, I didn't go to film school.
Yeah.
When I went to school, I was going for mechanical engineering, and then I shifted over to filmmaking later. And so I do notice that, like, when it comes to like set building and like things that like work and mechanical things like that, I do have an edge on a lot of people that may be great filmmakers, but like when it comes to a power saw, they're like, what?
Hold on a second. Yeah.
Yeah, or even just programming a microprocessor to move the servos in that arm or something like that. The engineering background helps you a lot in filmmaking. So we work with a lot of people that went to film school, really great. Yeah. But I think I actually have a unique advantage having the other side.
To be able to build this.
Yeah, it's like problem solving things on set is huge.
Yeah.
As
That makes sense. Yeah.
And Full Sail University can't teach you every little problem that's going to come up. They try to give you a base to work off of. And that's the same with engineering school too. Like they don't teach every little problem that an engineer may face when they go work in the field.
Yeah.
But it's a different base. It's a different type of problem solving, and I think it lends itself to filmmaking really well.
That's cool.
You look like James Cameron. That guy's like basically an engineer. He's like going to the bottom of the ocean and stuff, and submarines he built himself. So
he's totally immersing himself in the world of and crazy the amount of like, and talk about people who are going to new frontiers. Like he's pioneering like the visual effects industry. He's like trying to make a different thing with every single like film, and I think that is an amazing thing to say. Where it's like, again, so much of filming is about you will encounter problems, and working out how to work on your feet and how to figure out those problems in real time is like so important.
It's the biggest. Yeah, it's one of the biggest parts for sure.
Yeah. Well, I think I just have one last question for you. Could you leave us with just 3 words? It could be any 3 words. Just leave us with 3 words, and I think that'll be it.
Let's get done.
Yes.
I was gonna say let's get it done.
I feel like get it could be a contraction. That'll be perfect.
Yeah. We'll figure out a way to put a apostrophe in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But thank you so much. Thank you so much
absolutely.
for doing this. Thank you so much for having me here.